Do you post these recordings out someplace?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Okay.
Yep. So I've downloaded a sample CSV file, and it looks like this. So obviously it's in some Windows format. There's a nifty utility called DOS to Unix, but I'm not going to use it here. I'm going to just, stab at this file and see if I can whip it into shape a little bit with some different tools. So I'm using Vim right now. Maybe I should stick to the command line. I should probably do that. So cat. See, if you cat the file, it's all one huge nasty file line. And so let's see what we can do with sed. I might break down and use Vim, and that would be sad because this is more of a command line file. Sed /r /r/n. Sometimes sed is different based on your operating system, and I'm moving that. So what I'm trying to do is break up those Windows carriage returns and put new lines in there. It's obviously not working very well.
The world should be banned from using those.
They should. All right, let's try this DOS to Unix. Not. So it says it converted it, but I don't believe it because I kind of already tried this before we started recording. Yeah. So I'm doing something. There's something wrong here. So let me go into here and so this percent. I'm in Vim now. I'm sorry. So percent %s, which the percent means for all lines, substitute this with \r/n and do it with G means every instance, not just the first one. I'm going to do Control M because I see all these Control M signs that I want to get rid of. Let's see. Alright. So this is not going to get me exactly what I want, but I think this will get me at least to where it's legible. So I've replaced the return with a return new line. I still have these nasty characters. I don't know if I can get rid of them. Oh, okay. So I got rid of it with the Control @ because that's what it looked like. But the caret symbol can just be replaced with a control and then the character that follows it. All right, so it's kind of in the shape that we want. I'm going to write that file and get back into the command line. So let's see what happens if we cat the file now. So now cat prints it out. We have a bunch of lines. What else can we do with this thing? Let's use column. Oh, good. Column is installed, and I'm going to do oh, that's not so great. while I'm getting to what I wanted. So what if I did awk print single quote open brace print $2 $2 downloads. Okay, so that didn't really do what I wanted either. What about cut? Cut dash delimiter is comma dash F field 2 of downloads. That's good. So I'll just use cut in my example. The other one should work too, but it's the quickest way to get me some interesting printout. Let's see if we can do fields 2 through 5. So yeah, it's printing fields 2 through 5 and showing some commas in between. Let's see. I'm going to replace, I'm going to pipe that through sed and replace the commas with tabs, maybe. Oops. So the lesson here is that working with files takes a little bit of time.
It's trial and error, right?
Yeah, it is. Again, I think that this Mac is fooling with me a little bit. I usually use Ubuntu, but you're probably all laughing at me and saying, it just doesn't know what to do. But it does take a little time to kind of manipulate a text file. So tr could replace tr comma with a okay, that's interesting. So this kind of probably gets what I was maybe not what I was wanting, but what I thought I wanted. It's taking, let's see, it's cutting the fields 2 through 5 with the delimiter of the comma from that file that we already shaped a little bit, putting it through a translate command, replacing the commas with tab, and then piping that into column -T. And so these ones that are formatted not like I want are there's probably more commas or columns than I had expected. Or rather, I guess any separator, including spaces, like this is probably car domain space network. So it ended up with 5 columns instead of 4, that kind of thing. So, so I think cut is obviously a very good tool to pick out some of the things you want. So let's look at head, which will show me the first 10 lines of this file, just to give me an idea of what my data is like. I could also do tail, and I could do -20 to give me the last 20 lines instead of the first 10. So I could look at what the end of the file looks like. And in the head example, I have the permalink and company name and number of employees. So let's just do awk. Oh man, I'm gonna screw up again. Let's try fs equals comma, brace print 3. Okay. So, yeah, this is another example of a fail. So what I'm attempting to do here is use the awk command with the field separator of a comma to print the third column. And obviously not all my fields are separated like I think, or they don't have the right number of fields. Might be a good place to mention something called IFS. Let's see, I'm going to show my actual tail this time. So why did the last 5 lines not do what I wanted? 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. Okay, so that's helpful. These lines don't have the number of employees, therefore my data wasn't printed. There wasn't anything wrong with what we did. It actually was right because we have a 75, a 15, and a 26, and a 26. So back in that example, using awk with the field separator of a comma, that actually was a good demo. Just thought went wrong. So there's all sorts of great things you could do with awk, sed, cut, to shape these files using the tr command as well to kind of beat them into submission and show the things that you want to show. If I could mention one more thing, I don't know when I would otherwise mention this, is something called IFS. IFS in Bash is the internal field separator. So if I were to go in this file and do for word in, okay, do echo word. So we haven't discussed loops at all, but they're easy to find on Google. Somebody will show you what that is, or maybe we'll go into it another bash, breakfast bash. But let's say I wanted to print an entire line. But if you expected, hey, I'm gonna kind of go for each line, you're not going to get exactly what you think you're going to get. Especially like in this example, we have car domain space network. The internal field separator by default is going to be any carriage return, space, tab, anything that is a space character. And so if you're wanting to manipulate lines with a for loop or a while or any sort of loop in Bash, you're going to need to modify your internal field separator. So let's just see what this does real quick. What? I did an error. So I want this to be, I'm going to redirect the input of this file to this loop. All right. So you see, where's my example? So I'm going to grep merchant. Downloads. Merchant. Oops. So in this example above, it has a space. So the IFS, the internal field separator in my for loop made this into 2 lines rather than this right here. So it broke that in half, and I didn't want that to happen because I wanted to print each line as a whole. And maybe later I want to, somehow manipulate each line. but let's set my IFS equals, this is kind of magical. So dollar quote, single quote, \n. Commit that to memory. It's like English, you know. There's 5 things to remember. You are speaking Bash now. Just remember this kind of thing. There's nothing. It's kind of strange, but IFS is now our new line, and let's see what happened to Mercant this time. Hopefully, it's different. Yeah. So our example, Mercant Corporation. Now our internal field separator is a new line, so that's where it broke everything. It returned to the new line right there. All right, great. So I'm going to try one more trick that is probably going to not work. So company, I'm gonna. This is probably gonna fail because I don't think I have these right. But one way to go through a file is to use the read command, which is a bash built-in, and assign each one of your columns to a value. So I'm trying to take in each one of these different fields into a value, and one reason this is going to fail is because I'm not splitting out my commas yet. So anyways, this is going to just not work. Oh, another thing I can do. All right, I should give up while I'm ahead. Yeah, that's getting towards what I want to do, but it's not. So the while loop is a great way to read in a file and take each field as a different variable. But I'm not prepared to properly demonstrate that. But take your auth, your sed, your tr, and all those things, and mash them together and manipulate files easier than with Word or anything else. Thanks for joining, and see you tomorrow.